I'm a TV actor, and I play Jesus in a TV show called TheChosen. Now it's being released worldwide.
The cameras were off. The director had stopped everything. On the set of the world's biggest show, the only sounds were the muffled sobs of actors who could no longer continue. This wasn't just a delay, it was something else. The filming of the crucifixion had become so intense, so real, that it broke them. So, what really happened behind the scenes of TheChosen's most powerful season? And why is it shaping up to be its most controversial? For 5 seasons, TheChosen has pulled off what many thought was impossible. It made the story of Jesus human. It built a global audience by focusing on the authentic, relatable relationships between Jesus and his followers. But with Season 6, the show finally reached the moment it had been building towards all along: the crucifixion. This wasn't just another block of filming. It was the depiction of one of the most sacred and defining moments in history. The challenge was enormous. How do you portray the passion for an audience that has come to know these characters like family? How do you make it feel real without it becoming unbearable to watch? For director Dallas Jenkins, the goal was to create something unprecedented. To do it, he and his team flew to Matera, Italy, the same historic location used for Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, searching for a landscape that felt ancient and authentic. But Jenkins was clear. This couldn't feel like a religious painting or a church sermon. The show's trademark humanity had to stay, even in the face of divine sacrifice. He called the 86-day shoot the most difficult, physically and logistically, that we have done, with grueling night schedules designed to capture the darkness of Holy Week. Now, the controversy around Season 6 isn't the kind you might expect. While any depiction of the crucifixion runs the risk of sparking theological debates or arguments over creative choices, the real firestorm surrounding this season is about the raw, unfiltered impact the filming had on every single person there. The controversy is that the line between performance and reality started to blur, and the sheer weight of the story became almost too much to bear. At the center of this emotional storm was Jonathan Roumie. For years, people have loved his portrayal of Jesus for its warmth and accessibility. But for Season 6, he had to go to a much darker place. He's been open about it, calling this season the most difficult thing I think I've ever done. This wasn't just another role. He described it as a period of mental, physical, and spiritual warfare. To prepare, Roumie went through a grueling physical transformation. He said he was training specifically for this season, and the physical toll was visible in photos, where he appeared gaunt and exhausted. He later spoke of being covered in prosthetic wounds for hours, only to have them painfully ripped off after long night shoots. He also described the intense cold of filming on the cross, in nothing but a loincloth, as the Italian night temperatures dropped. But the physical hardship was only half the battle. He called the season brutal, saying it demanded more of him physically, spiritually, and emotionally than any before it. Roumie knew the pressure was immense, but he saw it as a sacred responsibility. In interviews, he confessed that the only way he could get through it was to empty myself and allow the Lord to just be with me throughout the process. He asked fans for prayers, not for himself, but so he could get out of his own way and let God work through him. Roumie wasn't just acting, he was on a pilgrimage, entering into that suffering to bring a deeper truth to the screen. He knew it was his job to make this moment real, and in doing so, he took on a burden that pushed him to his absolute limit. That immense pressure wasn't just on Jonathan Roumie. As cameras rolled on the crucifixion, a heavy, somber mood fell over the entire set, and we all got a glimpse of it, thanks to a behind-the-scenes video that went viral. It showed cast members like Elizabeth Tabish, who plays Mary Magdalene, and Laura Silva, who plays Eden, openly weeping, not just during takes, but off-camera too. The tears weren't acted, they were real. Director Dallas Jenkins had to steer everyone through this emotional minefield. He was managing the most complex shoot in the show's history, while also shepherding a cast and crew who were being emotionally leveled. The set was in a foreign country, and with many crew members not speaking English, It created a sense of isolation even while surrounded by hundreds of people. The breaking point came while filming Jesus being raised onto the cross. As Roumie, deep in character, screamed in agony, and the actresses wept at his feet, the sacred weight of the moment became overwhelming. Jenkins had to call a halt to the production. The atmosphere was so charged, so holy, that work couldn't continue. In that viral video, a visibly spent Dallas Jenkins is seen stepping away from the chaos, where he emotionally collapses into his wife's arms. "I was emptied out," he later said. "I was spent." This is the real reason Season 6 is so controversial. It's not a controversy of scandal, but of spiritual gravity. The story they were telling stopped being just a story. It became a shared experience of suffering. Abe Bueno Jalad, who plays Big James, said everyone was struggling to keep their hearts open, because the natural instinct was to shut down from the pain. He said, "We're all unifying together to be there for one another." What happened after everything stopped is maybe the most powerful part of this story. The cast and crew didn't just scatter. They came together. Roumie himself has talked about how, in the middle of this brutal process, he watched his castmates being emotionally leveled, and how they all started lifting each other up. The grace, as he put it, was in their mutual support. This shared trial pulled them closer than ever. The experience of filming the crucifixion went beyond acting and became a communal, spiritual event. Dallas Jenkins reflected on this, suggesting that maybe the struggle was the point. "I think maybe God wants it that way," he said. "I think we are supposed to suffer and struggle a little bit. I think it's the least we can do to capture this." He later called the season a sacrifice that gave the team a tiny taste of the suffering it was portraying. This bond is what ultimately allowed them to finish. They leaned on each other, prayed for each other, and found strength in their shared mission. The hardship wasn't a roadblock. It became a crucial part of the creative process, infusing every frame with a raw honesty that could never be scripted. It ensured that the final product wouldn't just be a reenactment, but something that, as one cast member put it, would feel more like losing a family member. The story behind Season 6 isn't one of a film set in chaos, but of a family coming together to carry an immense weight. It's a testament to their dedication, not just to their craft, but to the story itself. They believed in what they were creating so deeply that they were willing to be broken by it, knowing that in that vulnerability, something truly transcendent could be born. The story of what happened behind the cameras on Season 6 of The Chosen is more than just a making-of special. It's a parallel story that deepens the meaning of everything we'll see on screen. Knowing the mental, physical, and spiritual warfare Jonathan Roumie went through, seeing the genuine tears of the cast, and understanding the moment the director was so overcome he had to stop everything, it all proves this was more than just television. The real controversy of Season 6 is its staggering authenticity. The cast and crew didn't just film the story of the Passion. They lived a small piece of it. They allowed the weight of it to affect them, and in doing so, they've created something that promises to be, in Jenkins' words, very special and unprecedented. It's a story of sacrifice, both on-screen and off, that has set the stage for what might be one of the most powerful seasons of television we'll ever witness. While an official release date for the full season hasn't been locked down, it's expected to stream in late 2026, with the finale getting its own standalone theatrical release on March 12, 2027. What we'll see then will be the product of that struggle, that support, and that sacred silence when the cameras stopped rolling. It will be a story told by people who were profoundly changed by telling it. If you want to hear more of the untold stories behind The Chosen and other shows that are changing the world, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And let me know in the comments, how does knowing this behind-the-scenes story change how you anticipate Season 6? I'd love to hear your thoughts.